So
Yep.
we watched The Matrix.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a debate somewhere
Yeah, I think
in this.
so. Shockingly.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that ironically, for a film franchise all about choice, the main character had no agency. He had the illusion of agency, ironically.
I think that was their point with the second one, actually.
Okay.
All right, let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I'll say that it's more of what I wanted it to be than what I thought it was going to be. The posters and the advertising for this movie are like action packed, and they show all these, you know, these flips and stuff. And the trailer as well is a lot more action heavy. So I was afraid that this was going to be some kind of like just rehashing of the original, which,
and your fears were not delivered. Like,
what I wanted was for it to just, like, honestly, if there was zero action in this movie, I would probably be okay with it, because like we'll see, I think, you know, what was interesting was more like the questions that were asked in the original.
Oh gosh.
And kind of like the meta nature of them. So when I watched this movie, the first half, I was very, very happy with it, because it was just
okay.
It was just so
okay. Here's what I'll say.
Yeah,
it was super duper meta.
Yes,
incredibly meta.
Yeah, which I loved.
And, okay, I'll say there's two things going on.
Yeah,
which I think will summarize it. I'm going to come down on the and I hated it, and you're maybe going to come down to the I didn't mind it so much.
Yes,
and you're a fool. But anyway, so it was super incredibly on the nose, over the nose, in the nose meta about like reboot culture, them having to make it. We can talk about that. Okay. That's a whole thing. That's like the first hour that's going on. They're literally watching the old movie like while the movie's going on. But anyway, so there's that aspect, which I thought was hilarious and very good. And I haven't seen that before for sure. But the other part of it is that it's an actual movie. It has its own story and all that stuff. And that stuff was terrible, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, the overarching plot of this is just Morpheus wants to be back with Trinity.
I want to talk about like a confusing Morpheus.
Oh, sorry.
That'd be something.
Yeah. Neo just wants to be back with Trinity. That's it. I mean, that's really
it's like
that's what drives the action.
It's a horrible, confused mess, and it's terrible and impossible. Like,
I don't think it's confused. I think it's
yes.
I don't think the people who made it were confused of what they were making.
Fine,
but the way that it comes across, you know, it's convoluted. I'm going to say the word convoluted again.
So they had an idea, and in the act of making the movie, it came across muddled.
I think I'm going to speculate. If I had made something like The Matrix Reloaded Revolutions, the things that interest me, yeah, it's a little bit, you know, the filmmaking, you know, how do you show these effects? But I think the interesting thing is sort of showing the philosophical side, asking those questions and keeping people interested.
Of like doing a reboot?
No, of just a movie, right? Like that's what's, I think, appealing to making these movies.
Did they really do that? They didn't really do that.
Well, the first hour they did. And I think
the first hour they were talking about more like breaking the fourth wall about making this reboot.
They did that too, but more than that, like it also talks about like, was this all just kind of in your head, whatever? And my issue is that they probably could have just made the entire movie like that, where you just think like, is Neo just dreaming this whole thing? Is any of this real? Like it reminded me of that movie Enemy. Right?
Yeah,
we're not really sure.
But then after an hour,
right, so
it just becomes what it
action
is
schlock.
Making fun of. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think what happened, I don't know if this is like tongue in cheek, but I don't think any studio is going to give them money if they don't deliver on like dumb action. And unfortunately, I think that stuff had to be put in there or this movie would not have been made. I think that was like forced in there. So I'm not going to blame like the original vision on what we got. I'm going to blame like circumstances of
it doesn't
capitalism.
Matter. It doesn't matter what you blame. Like it was a bad movie, right? Like you're never going to watch that movie again.
I'm not going to watch it again.
You would never watch it again.
It was entertaining.
The first hour was entertaining.
The first hour was entertaining and good. The second hour was a little.
The second hour was
expected, but it was interesting to see what they did.
So the first part, it's like you're almost like, oh, which way is this going to go? Because it is so like they just talk about the Matrix. It's like a property that exists in their world. Yeah, everybody knows it. It's just, and then they have the marketing meeting with like all the buzzwords. Like originality and fresh, and this isn't on brand, and this is, you know,
one word, bullet time. Yeah.
Yeah. And like his little handler, Jude Gallagher, whatever, that annoying guy.
Like Judas.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I watched this when I was in the 7th grade and it blew my mind or whatever. Like,
yeah, just
that's completely us.
Attacking me, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, Neo doesn't want to remake it. He's like, oh, but they're forcing us to. It's in our contract.
And I wonder if that's like actually what happened.
So it's all this stuff. And that's so great because it's commenting about like how everything's a reboot culture. Why can't we make any original ideas? All that stuff.
And because it's like,
it's interesting.
And because we as, I don't know, like millennials, I guess, understand these concepts.
Are we millennials?
Yeah, we're millennials. Like anybody, like between like 85 and like 94, I think is millennials.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you think it's like 20-year-olds, but no, that's like 2 generations below us. We're very old.
Oh, yeah.
We're very old.
Well, I knew that, but.
So I think because we know these concepts and stuff that they're talking about, it makes it more believable that Neo's just like imagining everything.
Yeah. But like, it gets incredibly confusing, right? Well, number one, I should say that it is just completely the first movie, completely. Like literally, they show the first movie on screen multiple times. They show them watching like the my brain is melting. They show these characters watching the intro to the first movie, like Trinity getting ambushed by those agents or whatever, from like a side perspective. Like, we know what happens in the story. We've seen this all before. It's just like,
but it's done well.
Sure,
I think that part's done really well.
If it was going to go that route,
yeah,
all the way.
I wish it had.
It was like very much satirizing, being a parody, making fun of the fact that there's no original ideas, everything's a remake. But then it becomes horrible crap that it is talking about.
Yeah.
And not in like a funny way, in just a literal, that's what it is. So I did some very deep investigation on the Wikipedia production tab of this movie to figure out why it was made, or, you know, the circumstances. So what I read was that the studio, was it Warner Brothers? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Was constantly asking the Wachowskis if they wanted to, constantly asking them to make a 4th movie. And forever they were like, no. Like, we did our 3 movies. That was the story. We're done. There's a direct quote. I'm going to pull it up. So apparently in this 2015, they were interviewing Lily Wachowski about Jupiter Ascending, and they asked her about making another Matrix movie.
Yeah.
And she said, quote, particularly repelling idea in these times when, end quote, but talking about like how studios are constantly like just greenlighting reboots and remakes and nothing original.
Yeah.
So particularly repelling is what she said in 2015. So she didn't want to make it. It sounds like they kept asking. She was like, no, like, we did our thing. No. And then parents died. Like, I don't know when, but like after that, her parents died. And there's another quote. So, I couldn't have my mom and dad, yet suddenly I had Neo and Trinity, arguably the 2 most important characters in my life. It was immediately comforting to have these 2 characters alive again. And it's super simple. You can look at it and say, okay, these 2 people die, and okay, bring these 2 people back to life, and oh, doesn't that feel good? So her parents died, and then for some reason that, I don't know, she wanted that comfort food for herself, I guess, of having these 2 characters that she liked a lot and created, and so that's why she decided to make greenlight or be okay with making that.
I think this is the first episode, or this is the first movie that she's making by herself, like not with her sister. So
yeah. Anyway, so that's why. But the funny thing is, it feels like a movie that she didn't want to make still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all that stuff in there is like very, very obvious.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
The disdain.
That's the best part.
Yeah. If it had just been 2 hours of that.
And like just ridiculing the entire like corporate movie making like process, focus group process, all that stuff. It was great. But it feels like something that someone didn't want to make the movie would do. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I mean, it's not like his movie did great anyways. Like, I mean,
I guess don't know. Didn't it just come out?
Yeah, but I guess they didn't. I don't know. I wish they would have just gone full.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, you know, that's not gonna. Why? It's a huge property and studio, obviously. You know.
Mm-hmm. I was worried that when I saw this movie, I was gonna like mourn for the characters. Like they were just gonna like reanimate these like beloved characters and have them just do these things that. But it wasn't that. I don't think.
Okay, so I'm gonna get into one thing, and then we can talk about what a confusing, horrible mess it was.
Okay.
Okay. So one, I mean, I'm sure you noticed, but Neo, he is old, and he barely does anything in the movie. He's like the focal point of the movie, but he's the focal point in the way that like the statue in the middle of town is a focal point. Like you all gather around it, you get married with it, it's back there, you have a party and it's up there, but it doesn't do anything. That's kind of like what he was like.
Yeah.
So I actually took count.
Okay.
And the number of lines that Keanu Reeves says that are longer than 4 words, the number of lines in the whole movie, 2.5 hours, longer than 4 words, there's 46. To be fair, like 30 of those are 5 words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He barely says anything. He barely does anything. Most of the time, he's just there, and they have all these like surrogate characters to do the acting and explaining and feeling for him. Yeah. He has his character, that broy sidekick guy, Jude. That is like his surrogate there at the office. His boss tells him how he feels, and he's just like, yeah. The Bugs,
yes,
does all that action stuff for him and like explains everything for like he'll constantly just be in situations where other characters are like kind of saying his side of the dialogue.
It's sort of what Shia LaBeouf was in that new Indiana Jones movie, and a lot of those like soft reboots, because they're soft reboots in those.
And they have old people.
They'll have old people, but
you mean Harrison Ford?
Yeah, but Shia LaBeouf was like,
oh yeah.
So they'll have the old person, but then they'll have this like young version of that person. And so they'll sort of be doing the most of, the protagonist stuff. In this movie, you very, very explicitly cannot have a second the one.
There's no passing of the torch.
Yeah, I'm the two. Like you can't.
He barely does anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like truthfully. And the other thing is, again, like I said at the beginning, how it's hilarious that this whole thing is about choice, is that does he make any choices in the movie? Very often he makes a choice, but what happens before is some guy comes up and says, you got to make a choice, red or blue, pizza or cheeseburgers. And then he's like, that one. You know, like,
they did make the pills sexier.
Sure, yeah, those
like,
pills look great. I would take all those pills. They looked amazing. Anyway, that was very apparent and terrible, right?
Yes.
Like he's the main character, but he doesn't actually like he gets put in prison, right? He's not like, I gotta get my way out of here to find Trinity.
Oh man, we gotta.
Somebody just comes to him and says, you gotta get out of here to find Trinity. He's like, yeah, and then they go. You know what I mean? He doesn't break out himself. He doesn't do anything. Yeah.
And also, like, the people who did the actual action, their motivations, they say them, but you don't see, like, Bugs and the crew kind of doing anything. What drives them?
No.
They say it, but.
And they have a crew, and there's like 7 of them or something, and you don't care about any of them except for Bugs.
Just again, they're a bunch of
whoever.
Young 20-year-olds. Dude,
and the whole thing's a mess. You want to talk about that? Okay, so you didn't seem to hate this movie as much as I do, even though it was a confused, horrible mess. I get that the first part was like,
even though the reasons for them doing certain things are bad and not, I don't care about them. There is a logic to the movie.
Is there though? Okay, so like, they're trying so hard to get Neo out. Why?
Yeah,
what do they need him to do?
So I do like this idea. So at the end of Resurrections, right? If you're just someone in Zion, the machines just kind of like turn around and leave. In Resurrections, by the way, when that happens, and the machines, in Revolutions, when all the machines get up and leave from Zion, within like 4 seconds, there's someone yelling, "We did it! We won!"
That's true.
Within like 4 seconds, like they, I mean, that's all it took. It's like,
dude, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
isn't it awesome? Like you just yell, "We did it! We won!"
And they just won.
See what happens.
So that was hilarious. I was like, you should have waited like a few days. And if you think about what would happen in that world, Neo's gone, Trinity's gone, they never come back. The machines left. You don't really know what happened. Morpheus had his like super conviction, right?
Yeah.
So to live in that world, you really don't know what happened. You don't really have any idea. But you heard these stories. I'm assuming like Morpheus, like spread the gospel of Neo. Yeah. And so it's interesting to see these kids kind of be like, we're going to go after him. It's not hard to imagine an extreme group of people who
But
are like, we're
what are
gonna
they
find him.
trying to get him to do? They make it seem like it's critical that we get him out.
Right. So I can
do what?
I can understand their motivations for trying to find him, but after that, I don't know what they expect. To answer questions like, oh, he's here. Okay.
And like, what problem are they trying to solve? Because it's like, so it seems like the end all of the Matrix trilogy was that like, well, some machines help us now, so we have strawberries. What the hell was that? Like, so they have a better city and they work with some machines, but not all of them. And like, what is the conflict
with
here?
that? Yeah, but the conflict is the main
What is
thing.
the situation?
What is this? Yeah, overall, like, what is the central conflict between humans and machines? Like, sort of, where are they? It seems like some machines are okay with them, some machines aren't. But in the Matrix, at least, those humans should have a choice.
But they do, don't they? They don't really allude to it, but it's like, I thought the issue was that at the end of the third movie,
Yeah,
everybody gets an explicit choice at the beginning. But now in this movie, they're mad because most people are choosing to stay in.
which that was.
But that
is that so crazy?
No, but that was kind of vaguely communicated. I don't even know if that's the what is the conflict?
Yeah, so anyways, the plot is driven by Neo wants to be with Trinity.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
That's it. And there's a lot of fun little stuff in the first hour that's really meta. But yeah, the overall like humans versus machines saga story is I don't like, was any of what we saw on screen more important for the overall world?
And then like
any of it mattered.
Confusing awful messes. Do you want to talk about digital strawberries? You just want to talk about that real quick?
Let me see what they said. The quote was, retro convert digital code into DNA. And that's like me saying, hey man, I got this laser disc of Jurassic World. You want to go make some dinosaurs?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's like we have green peas and strawberries now because they took the code from the Matrix, which said it's red and it tastes like this. And they're able to use that in a real world in a plant to make a strawberry. It makes no sense at all.
I'm going to choose to argue with you.
What?
Okay.
Impossible, sir.
In the Matrix, if you have it programmed to where
oh God,
you're not just like seeing this phone, right? They're not just like coding for this phone. You see the face, right? But what's actually coded is like electromagnetism. If the building blocks in, the Matrix are the same, like analogous to the building blocks of the real world.
But they didn't code the DNA of strawberries in there.
Maybe. So that's me attempting to defend it. So that's me playing devil's advocate.
What if it was coded on the Crysis engine instead of the Unreal engine? Okay.
So that's me. But it's stupid. It's really stupid.
It's dumb as hell.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
But that's me arguing. All right.
That's one thing. Okay. The other thing is like, they're trying to, like the machines, like the paramagnetic cloud of magnet physifying, real lifeifying digital constructs by using a swarm of magnets to make them their avatar.
Those machines are 200 years in the future and they're super smart.
But it makes no sense because is the use of that digital, he's like a program biologist and he can reverse engineer like JavaScript into a strawberry. Okay. Does he really need to physically be there to like plant berries? Is that really the best use of that amazing, ridiculous technology?
I think something that maybe you would think about is like, what if you were like a machine? Right?
You would just live in the machine cloud world.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
So you would come to talk way slower, think way slower, and do things way slower than if you just had like...
It's a simple life.
Okay. All right. Well, that's one thing.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about Niobe?
Oh man, she's the Merovingian of this movie.
Dude, they had Jada Smith in like old lady makeup for like a while and it was not good. Why did they do that? And then she's immediately, again, stuff doesn't make any sense. They get Neo out of the Matrix, which takes like an hour. Holy moly, it takes an hour. They get him there and then she's mad at them for some reason. I don't know why she's mad at them. And then she puts them in prison for some reason. Why? Do you know why? Tell me.
So I'm trying to think through this.
I have no idea.
Morpheus rules for 60 years, believes that Neo unequivocally
rules as the Emperor God of Zion.
Yeah, God Emperor of Zion. And then, I don't know.
Why did that happen? And then she's like,
trust him, or I don't know.
Pleasantly talking with him about whatever, and then puts him in jail, which he escapes very easily somehow.
And he had a great view.
What is the problem? Are they fighting with machines? I don't even know.
They didn't need to go back to Zion ever.
Dude,
The only reason that happened was because we as an audience wanted to see Zion, which, by the way, I'll say that the entire look of Resurrections, like outside of the Matrix, fit tonally really well with the originals, like really well. That was good. But, you know, if you're just talking about the main story about Neo, Trinity, Smith, Matrix, then that could have all been done just from Bugs' ship.
Yeah.
Like that, the entire thing.
Dude, she just gives this whole long exposition dump, just like, and then they keep like cutting to like different, they sit down and have coffee and talk forever. And then she's like, now walk with me. And then they talk forever again. Like, it's just terrible. And the whole time Neo's just like,
I mean, it's just an excuse for them to go to Zion and see what it's like, and to like have questions answered about what happened from someone who was there.
It doesn't have any internal logic. It's just so confusing.
Yeah, I could see if they'd spent more time writing it, they could have.
So the machines are helping them make strawberries, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And the world seems to be better because they have like Magic Sky. Fine.
Yeah.
But then what is Bugs upset about? Bugs is like, you're not doing enough to
get people out of the Matrix. You care more about like growing your little plants. Like we should be in the Matrix. This movie, what it doesn't have that all the other Matrix movies have is outside of the Matrix, there is a threat. There's a threat to Zion. There's a threat from the machines.
Yes, it's very unclear. Like,
but in this movie, that doesn't exist. Outside of the Matrix, everything's fine.
Right? It seems like it's fine.
The problem is that Neo and Trinity aren't together. That's it.
Yeah, and that's really a Neo problem and a Chad problem.
Yeah.
It's literally named Chad.
And a Neil Patrick Harris problem. Yeah. What I thought was funny was his like productivity numbers were up. Like this was kind of funny, right? The machines, like their energy grid is like not doing great. So that's creating conflict between like machines for the first time. And I guess if Neil Patrick Harris, you know, he like found a way to use Neo and Trinity's like magic, like, you know,
talk about that too. That makes no sense, but
to increase the output of the Matrix.
When people are mad or scared, their bodies produce more energy.
Well, I think again, if they had said processing, this would have been an easier metaphor to say, yo, Neo, you got special powers. When you try to think yourself out of situations really hard, your brain goes crazy, and we harness that. That made some more sense. Although, really, wouldn't it be the opposite? You want your brain to be as like just sedated as possible so we can use it for what we want.
Oh, geez. Yes. Okay.
Unless the machines do want Neo to think about what he is, because that's like entertainment for them or something.
It kind of trivialized it because like, and now instead of the machine god talking to Neo and like, we'll have peace. It's like, my bosses are really breathing down my neck about this kilowatt outage.
We got a shareholder meeting and things haven't been looking good. Red.
Yeah, my numbers are down.
We're IPOing next month.
Yeah, we're going through a merger, and we really got to get these numbers up to like cook the books a little bit before our valuations.
You guys are really helping.
He literally says the suits. I'm like, they're robot squids and programs and stuff. I'm like,
yeah. What I heard was, I don't know if this is true, but what they originally wanted to do was not make Reloaded and Revolutions. They wanted to make like a prequel to The Matrix and then a sequel. I think that would have done super well. Especially, man, I guess it's the same problem sort of with The Hobbit. Like Lord of the Rings already solved kind of the big central conflict. And so when you watch the Hobbit movies, at least, you know, it's like, what are they doing? And same with this. Same with this. It's like I see what's happening, but because there's no bigger conflict, I don't really care. But I remember in Resurrections when Neo and Trinity are flying to Machine City, I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, what's gonna happen?
Why can't we have more of this? And in the Animatrix, I think it's called The Second Renaissance Part 2. And it's part of like the first animation is sort of how it happened, how you know the machines were like workers, and they got abused, and then they rebelled, and then they took over. And that was told in like a 20-minute, you know, animated short. But if that could have been a movie, wow. Like Caprica for The Matrix.
And the end all be all is what? Like the movie ends, right? What was the ending of the movie?
Trinity can fly.
They're now in charge of this Matrix. So what?
Yeah, I didn't see the.
Like what now? They're going to play by their own rules, but like.
Maybe they'll inspire more people to leave the Matrix.
So nebulous.
Yeah.
Like it's not stated that that's their goal.
Man, if I'm living in that world.
So their goal is to get like, instead of 0.1% of people to leave, it's like 10% of people to leave.
Yeah.
But like, but they seem to be happy in there, and the people in Zion seem to be maybe happy. We don't really see, but they seem to be better
They have
off.
strawberries. Yeah.
So they're just fighting for more people to wake up sheeple. That's so vague. You know?
You would Airbnb your house, right?
Sure.
Your car, you'd consider it?
Sure.
What about your mind?
I mean, how much are they paying?
They pay you in virtual reality.
They pay you and you get to live in a cooler place than you already do?
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah.
Welcome to the Matrix.
That's a whole discussion.
Yeah. Even in the first movie,
Cypher.
it's so funny. Like you see the first movie and you see Cypher, and when you first watch it as like, you know, a 10-year-old who thinks anything's possible, you're like, you idiot, man.
Yeah.
Or you want to go back in.
Right. It's
And
all
now-
fake, man.
Yeah. Now it's like, well, you know, I mean, this HTC Vive costs a lot of money. And
now it's more like a very pragmatic thing. We're like,
Yeah.
well, it kind of is just impulses in my brain. So bring on the good impulses, baby. Like,
yeah.
it's like you could live a real authentic life in a crap sack.
Yeah.
Like digging up shrooms like with your bare hands, or you can be like in New York in 1999 plus minus, you know?
Yeah. Living the dream.
What is you know, I guess you're just supposed to strive for authentic truth, whatever, even if it's not real.
Mm.
I mean, you know, whatever. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, sure, I get where the movie's going to come down on that argument, but the ending of the movie, like, it culminates. It's freaking 2.5 hours long. It culminates in this: Trinity and Neo have like the one powers, and they can reshape the Matrix. So what?
Yep.
Like what? Like it wasn't like they're gonna free everybody now, and like Zion, like that whole stuff already happened.
What I would have been much happier with is if the focus had been on Neo and Trinity escaping the Matrix altogether, and them like starting like a farm and like, you know, in Machine City or something. Like they start living with the machines, and it shows them like, you know, going back and forth between the Matrix and the real world, maybe, you know, kind of teaching people how to live with machines. And
Yeah,
they could do so many cool things. One thing that's interesting is they like reboot the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
What's funny is that, you know, the characters that we're introduced to now in Resurrections, they're like millennials, basically. You know, the way they dress, act, talk.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what's kind of funny is if you're somebody who lived in Zion and then Neo like did whatever and now Zion is saved, the Matrix gets rebooted. But let's say the Matrix reboots, I don't know how it would know to do this, but to like 2020 culture. And so the people that you're now extracting from the Matrix have values very different, not very, but different from what you have. So what would be an interesting concept is maybe they like reset the Matrix, or they can like program history in the Matrix to be in such a way that it teaches humans to be like compassionate with machines or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can like slowly start unplugging them and they'll be more receptive to the world. I don't know. There were more things that they could have done, because at the end of it, like that is the grander the conflict or the concept, I think the more I care. And the human versus machine element was definitely the grandest of them.
Mm-hmm.
In order to create that, I think they could have done more.
They could have done a lot.
But I think the point of this
more.
one was more to just like ask, why do I exist? The movie is asking, why do I exist?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. But, okay, another thing I want to talk about real quick is the robots. The machines.
Robots.
This is like a personal pet peeve of mine I've now discovered.
Okay.
You see it very rarely, but...
And you've broken 3 TVs.
Yeah. I'm about to break another.
No.
But okay, like when he wakes up from the Matrix and she's like, no, it was worth it. See, we got Squiddy and Jimbo here. Yay! Like little stupid robots.
Yeah.
It's like a robot horse. It's like a robot horse. It's like emotional and like afraid, and like he like pets its head.
Immediately, yeah.
Like, quiet there, Quicksilver. It's a robot. It's a freaking squid robot.
Again, I'll say it's artificial intelligence, so it's just like you and I.
But why does it act like a little like little creature companion?
You know, I think that there's a bigger conversation to be had there.
Like if he did this, it would like flinch. It makes no sense. You get that energy from it.
I
Makes no sense.
I do. But, it's like, what do you expect all of them to act like Dr. Manhattan? Like all AI will always act like that? Like, is AI individual? Like, can they grow, be young, be old?
Animal. It's it's just straight up. It's not a different thing. It's not like a lower. It's not different. It's a freaking shrew. It's like a small animal.
Okay, when you say that,
100%.
Okay.
It's like.
You remember the little alien in Transformers on the airplane?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like,
yes.
well, I guess even that felt more intelligent than
that's
this.
another one of my. That's the only other time I can think of this pet peeve being exercised is in like Transformers 12. I don't remember which one, where they go to the Smithsonian and they wake up that SR-71, that spy plane, the black one from the Smithsonian Museum, and it's like it has knee problems and it has a crutch. It's a robot.
Well, at least
and it acts like an old man. It coughs and it goes on.
Well, in Transformers, you know why they're doing it. It's like anthropomorphize them so the audience can relate. That one, at least I get
to such a completely ridiculous degree.
Yes.
Or like I remember
Transformers, you expect that.
It's complete crap. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like they have that little robot dog, a robot humping her leg. I'm like, it's a robot.
Yeah, it's a rodog. Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Okay.
Minor point. And to go along with this, I'll say one word to you. Kujaku? What the hell was that? What the hell was that?
That was dumb.
She's like there. Okay, I want to say so Niobe is there, and then I think literally in the span of 20 minutes, she's yelling at Bugs, and like the whole crew are like standing at attention on this one balcony set they have. In the span of like I think 20, 30 minutes, she congratulates them, welcomes them back, berates them for coming back, throws Neo in jail, kicks them out. They volunteer for a suicide mission. They come back and are redeemed. All on that little balcony over a period of like 30 minutes. And they're just standing there like, holy crap. And then like Kujaku, what is that? It's a stealth manatee anime robot that flies in
with Wi-Fi
from nowhere. And it's like, oh, he's a friend. Again, like it's a freaking like animal spirit.
With like big eyes and
yes.
Yeah.
It's like literally like summoning the spirits of my ancestors. What is that? It makes no sense.
I was not happy with that.
That came out of nowhere. That felt like it flew in from a different movie.
It's like a unicorn in Blade Runner, but imagine it was real. Like, sorta.
So Kujaku, the my neighbor Totoro, whatever, like friendly creature.
You know what Paro is?
No.
It's like this seal that like it's like this machine seal that they use to like comfort people. Like
it's like a real thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it doesn't need any upkeep like an actual pet. You just have it and it makes you feel good, and it like responds a little bit to you like petting it or not petting it. It reminded me kind of that.
Yeah, it's an animal.
Yeah,
it's a spirit animal.
In like anime,
it's invisible.
Yeah, in like anime or manga, this stuff works.
Yes,
because you have suspended your disbelief more. But in a very realistic world, like the Matrix, or like
it literally just flies in with no
it's a massive
anything.
Tonal shift. It's into like magical fairy world,
and then it has like a Wi-Fi uplink to the Matrix, to the Machine City. It has one of those plug things in it for some reason. What even is it?
Well, I mean, that's the reason why they probably had it. I mean, they're probably writing it like, are we in a conflict? Neo wants to save Trinity. They can't save him at the same time. What do we do? What do we do? And then, they probably thought of that. And then there's somebody in the back to just answer all these like little minute details. But you can't unplug her if she doesn't want to be unplugged. Okay, well, write this really convoluted thing in. That's what happened. Like Indiana Jones, taking the golden statue and putting the bag of sand.
That's what they did with Trinity's body.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's the internal logic is there, but
is it
the external story is not?
Like it's there in the sense that you're like, oh, we have a logical problem. Let me just quick say one thing to make it make sense.
Exactly. It's it's not good.
That's what we call terrible. So there's this kind of conflict with Agent Smith where he's like, hey, the Neil Patrick Harris therapist is manipulating both of us, and we're both like locked in chains or whatever. Sure. I mean, you don't see that at all or experience that at all, and it's never really brought up again. kind of, but they paint that as like a central conflict, right? Like he shows up to fight him when he sees the hobo Merovingian again.
It's got like a frenemy vibe.
Right, but what I'm gonna say is that it is very much detracted from by not having Hugo Weaving as that person, because it's some guy that looks like nothing like him and looks totally different, has a different vibe completely. He's not menacing, really.
Yeah,
he looks like a marketing executive, which he is, I guess. But
the replacing of Lawrence Fishburne worked out because it wasn't really Morpheus, right?
Well, that was weird too.
Yeah, well, it was treated like humorously. It was funny.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, he was good. I mean, he was funny.
Yeah, with Smith, it's vibe. Like.
But my point is, like, a lot of that, the stakes in their relationship as characters is not set up in this movie. Really, it's just like all from the previous 3 movies. Like, oh, that's Agent Smith and that's Neo. They have such a history together.
It's kind of like when a good guy or when a bad guy turns good in like TV shows or anime or something. Like suddenly they're like super underpowered and they don't really matter very much.
What I mean is that like none of that gravitas is there because it's a different guy. You feel nothing.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Because like it's like let's say it's a Star Wars movie, and then you just see Darth Vader. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go down. I know Darth Vader. But if they said, hey, that's Darth Vader, and it was like a totally different looking guy,
yeah,
you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be feeling something, but I don't because it's not him.
No, I understand. I think there's a way in which you can do it to where you still feel something, but
I think the guy
not having the actor definitely is a big problem.
The actor that they had was just very not.
Yeah, he doesn't have any of that. He doesn't have the mannerisms or anything like that down.
Right? Like he's not. He just he looks like a marketing executive guy, which he played initially. You know, I don't know why they made that choice to have his boss be Agent Smith. I don't understand.
Not like a joke or something.
I don't know.
Also, I don't know if he was going for this, but did you ever think like the original Smith, Hugo Weaving, he talked kind of like Carl Sagan?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah. I was listening. I was like, this sounds like.
Yeah. You want to talk about Merovingian real quick?
Completely unnecessary. He was only there for the plot. He's interesting.
He's not there for the plot. He's there to like make social commentary.
Oh, and Resurrections. Yeah.
He's there to make 3 lines of social commentary and call out Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That was too. It was like
that was way too much.
It was like cringy.
You could be meta, but this is like.
It's like everything sucks nowadays. You kids just reboot stuff.
Yeah.
Facebook is taking over everything. Like very like explicit.
Yeah.
It was bad. And then he's just like a crazed trash hobo man.
Which makes no sense.
Just yelling at me. Like that's the other thing too. It's like nothing makes any sense. Like they're programs, right? He doesn't need to eat food or brush his teeth. Why does he have dental problems? Why is he wearing a crap sack? Why? Why is he like in control of like a group of like Mad Max punks that like hide in the ceiling that come down with like knives in their teeth? They're programs, right?
Yeah.
Like this movie sucked.
It didn't suck. A movie that sucked is like Transformers 3, right? Like that.
Sure.
This movie had stuff to say at least.
It's a bad movie. It's still a bad movie, right?
The second half was bad, yeah.
There's things to talk about it. There's some interesting points true.
The first half was good. The second half was bad.
The first half was very like, whoa, this is interesting. They're really going with this.
But good. Like
I know, but then like
I know the second half was bad. I know.
The rest of it was just like, nah.
Yeah.
And like not even in like a hey, this is just an action movie, good action, turn your brain off kind of way. It was
yeah. Oh, try to attack me.
Oh yeah. That's the other thing too. Neo is old, so mostly what he does is this.
What they could have done is, well, you know, like how they made him look like somebody else.
Oh,
they could have just made him look like, you know, some like stuntman and just had him.
Jason Statham.
I mean, like Jason Statham's son at this point, but I think he might be older than Keanu Reeves. Anyways,
no, maybe, maybe, whatever. Anyway,
and just have like, you know, the stuntman do the action.
The Rock. I know he's old too, but
dog, you gotta.
I know he's old.
Looking at younger
dudes.
Anyways,
yeah, my mom.
Yeah. Anyways, you could have, you could just have like a stuntman or something like stand
in
and
whatever.
The action, by the way, the special effects and everything here looked great. Like,
dude, the action was like schlock to the max.
1000%. But you know, like those problems that I had with Reloaded, Revolutions, like CGI wise and stuff, you know, they were pushing it as much as they could back then, and they're probably the reason why things got better, right? Or part of it. And so in this one, like, Like at least you can't complain that
wait
it looks
10 years and
unrealistic. Maybe.
Wait 10 years, look back. Because I mean,
maybe.
know, I don't know, whatever. Like the stuff on the train where they're fighting all those. Dude, the swarm stuff is like hilarious. Everyone just like starts frothing at the mouth and like becomes zombies essentially.
It's another way to make
schlock.
It's another way to make it look better because you don't have to CGI the same person 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Like the same agents or whatever. You just have to do some eye stuff, which I'm sure the program to like just look at people's eyes is very simple.
Or like when you turn them into started just mass suiciding, like jumping out of the buildings to try to land on their moped. That was
wild.
Wild.
But it's
had him dead to rights like 20 times. Whatever.
And then he like, how was it? Metal Gear solidified that helicopter at the end.
Oh yeah.
Helicopter v Neo.
It's just like, it's a whole movie. And the ultimate point of it is that like he gets back together with Trinity.
Which is,
that could be the point of a movie, but everything else around it's kind of like, that's kind of like a small thing on a global scale of like human extinction or not.
Which is why I was saying if they what I care about more is, I mean, I care about that, but what I care about is like the world around them. And the Zion stuff left me feeling like, okay, well, show me more. This is silly. But if I could see like more human versus machine interaction.
They're showing a bigger story, but the ultimate crux, the point of this is just like Neo and Trinity get together.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's
small potatoes.
Great, but that doesn't fix anything. They make it seem like it does because they are now in charge of the Matrix, but I don't really know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very small stakes.
Like, are they just going to free everybody, cause massive power outages, and the machines will fight each other and not kill Zion?
No, I think literally they're just going to like run their own PR campaign in the Matrix.
But the machines will just blow up Zion.
No. They don't care if they like they'll give people a choice. This is just like now
Why though?
Huh?
But the machines wouldn't let all the people just choose to not be batteries.
I don't know what like machine.
And still, they're even pushing Neil Patrick Harris to like get more output from what they have. They think they're going to
because they're losing people.
But do you think they're going to let them lose even more people? I
don't know. Apparently, they'll fight over energy. So maybe there'll be some faction that side with the humans and some that really like double down on the Matrix.
They're just going to blow up all the humans.
I don't know who's in charge of the Matrix. Yeah, those questions I would like to have answered. They ask those questions like machines are fighting each other for the first time over energy.
Here's the other.
There's a bigger
story
there. Yeah.
Okay, explain this to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying like Neo and Trinity are like the key, like getting more power output out of the Matrix.
When you bring them together, but not super together, you can like.
What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
I don't know.
No one in the Matrix even knows about them, really.
No. I don't think it's like making other people, produce more. I think it's just them.
What was the point of Neo? How did Neo and Trinity make more power come out of the Matrix? Why was it so important to literally bring them back from the dead?
They're using his anomaly power. I don't know. I guess
what is his anomaly power?
Neo's like a really, really a powerful processor. And they needed him.
But they're using his body to make energy.
Yeah, I know, which is why I said it kind of falls apart.
It falls apart completely. That's the whole point of the movie. Is it like...
I just make it be processor.
Okay, sure, but still, like... Yeah, man. He brought them back from the dead because they were that important to do what to the Matrix? They don't even do anything in it.
I think he just thinks really hard when he's around Trinity. Neo does. And that is power.
That is dumb, right?
Yeah. It's not great.
If that's what it is, I mean, that's stupid. But it doesn't make any sense, It's not satisfying. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not satisfying.
It's like, hey, we have to bring back our greatest enemy.
And our greatest friend.
To bring back like a 5% power output to the Matrix through nebulous means. We don't know why. But when he's plugged in the Matrix and no one knows about him, he doesn't know that he's the one, power skyrockets.
Look, man, we're selling the company in 3 months to the highest bidder, so it's their problem if they can figure it out.
That'd be another thing, yeah. I think you could have had like you were saying, like a movie about just Neo and Trinity in the Matrix, kind of reawaken themselves or something, and then they figure out it's a thing, and then they like break out and go back to Zion or something.
Yeah, if you had, oh man, that would be so cool. If you had in the real world, you didn't see anybody else but Neo and Trinity. That'd be kind of cool.
In the real world.
If they just like broke out them completely themselves and stuff, like Neo makes like this Morpheus like in his modal, and he's like a character, but you don't see anybody else from like outside because really it's what Bugs and the Crew and Jada Pinkett Smith. Like,
Yeah.
what if you just didn't have those characters at all?
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting writing exercise. I would have preferred something like that. Yeah. Man, I'm happy I watched it. I'm happy I got to go back and rewatch these movies. I would say like my opinions as a 14-year-old were basically the same opinions I have now, but
Agreed.
now they're more nuanced and I understand, I guess, why I have them a
Yeah,
little
I guess
better.
before you're like, wow, that was cool. That's stupid. But now,
Yeah.
but now you can say slightly more eloquently.
Yeah, that's stupid because, and hopefully they're not going to be like hounded to make another sequel anymore.
Did this movie do good? You know, I guess it's hard to tell because it's like on HBO Max and stuff. They don't
Yeah.
report this, but
You can look.
box office 124 million
That's not bad.
because it doesn't count HBO, right?
And these companies are very secretive with their numbers.
Garbage. Hot garbage.
Garbage in the best way possible.
There was interesting stuff in the first part, for
Yeah.
sure. But after that, it all fell away. You don't have to watch anything else after that.
Right. But if you're a quasi fan, just watch it. Like the first part, especially.
Yeah,
Like, what are you going to miss out on? Even if you watch the whole thing, like 40 minutes of like,
like an hour and a half of your life back. Dude, like it wasn't funny bad. It wasn't entertaining. It was just, I'm like, oh.
I have lower standards, maybe.
Well, anyway.
Just drained of all enthusiasm.
Maybe we should talk about a movie that we really like.
Let's just keep reviewing Dune. Every month, we'll just review like 10 minutes of Dune.
Uh-huh.
Like every year, we'll just keep doing that.
Yeah.